Thank you for tuning in to the Candidly Crawford radio show here on WDRB Media, the voice of the community. I'm your host, Teresa.
And it's your boy, Nick.
And we are Candidly Crawford, all about God, marriage, life, and everything in between. Thank you guys so much for taking the time out to tune in with us. Be sure you tune in every Thursday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or catch the rebroadcast available on our YouTube channel. Just look up Candidly Crawford, subscribe, like, share, all that good stuff. So tonight's show is brought to you by the Candidly Crawford podcast. It is sponsored by the Candidly Crawford podcast, available on your favorite podcast platforms. Just make sure you follow, like, subscribe, and share. So Nick, how's your week been?
My week has been wonderful. You might want to ask me why, so go ahead and ask me.
Okay, why?
Because we just got out of this conference of love, a conference of marriage.
Yes.
And my love cup is overflowing.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so I'm happy, excited. It was a conference. It was my first wedding conference. Marriage conference. I'm sorry, marriage conference.
That baby just be getting confused.
But yeah, so, I'm excited. I had fun. It was a great time of meeting new people.
And other couples.
Yeah, so it was fun.
Yes. So guys, we attended this marriage conference. It's a national marriage conference called A Weekend to Remember. It's like Friday evening through Sunday. It was here in Concord, not too far from us. So we didn't stay on site, but we did attend some awesome sessions along with some amazing other married couples, just to do a little tune up on your marriage, get some helpful resources, spark some great conversations that maybe you guys didn't even think about having or you've been avoiding, just to kind of get the ball rolling. But I would definitely say it was a great check-in for Nick and I in our marriage, because next month we'll be 2 years in.
2 years old.
Yes.
24 months old.
Yes. So it's a national conference there. It actually comes to various cities, and just head on over to their website. It's called A Weekend to Remember.
Yeah, so we did that. One thing that I always say is, a new car or an old car can never exist or run properly off of the tires that first came with the car. You always going to need something new. You always going to need an oil change, an update, or gas in the car. If you want to be honest,
something you have to maintain it to keep it going. So it's all about maintenance, and the same thing applies to marriage.
Right. And so this was like a maintenance check, not for anything to be wrong, but for everything to run smooth.
Exactly. So we had a great time, and like I said, guys, just check it out so your love cup can be overflowing as well for those married folks.
It's overflowing with love.
So tonight's topic, we are going to talk about basically, one of my friends actually hit me up last week, and she was like, hey, what did you do to prepare for Nick? Meaning, what did you do to prepare for your mate? So she just wanted to know, what did I do to prepare myself to meet my mate, which will, of course, be Nick later on. But I thought that was a great question, because we do get questions like that sometimes. And I think it's a great topic for Nick and I to share our own personal stories about how we prepared ourselves for each other. Not knowing that we would meet each other, but just what we did to prep.
Yeah, I think that's always a good thing when we're talking with singles. Like, hey, what did you do? This and that. And our story isn't cookie cutter,
Exactly. So if you guys want to stay tuned in, we're going to play this song for you. As Nick will say,
grab your snacks and come back.
Right. So stay locked in. We're going to jump into this topic when we come back.
All right, guys.
We are Candidly Crawford Radio.
All about God, marriage, life, and everything in between.
Tune in every Thursday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern as we candidly share our thoughts and experiences on life and relationships with a few laughs too. Interested in growing your business by advertising on our radio show? Need a dynamic duo or host to speak at your event? Connect with us. Email us at candidlycrawford@gmail.com or at Candidly Crawford on YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram.
Guys, we are back. It's your boy Nick.
And I'm Teresa.
And we are Candidly Crawford.
All about God, marriage, life, and everything in between. Thank you for tuning in to the Candidly Crawford radio show. We are getting ready to dive into our topic of tonight, which is what did we do to prepare for our mate? So again, before the break, I did actually say that one of my friends reached out to me and was like, hey, what did you do to prepare for your mate? So I thought that was a very great topic. And the first thing I would say that I did,
I got a question before we go into it.
Okay.
So how was your relationships before you started to prepare for your forever mate?
That's a great question. I would say my relationships actually, and to be honest, I've learned as as you get older, as you experience more things, you become wiser. Well, some of us do, not all. I will say that I learned a lot about myself in each relationship, regardless if it failed or not. I still learned a lot about myself, things that I definitely need to work on, things that I didn't realize was a flaw. Not necessarily blaming the other person regardless of their actions, but more so focus on myself. Like, what could I have done, or what did I learn from all of those relationships that didn't work out? So some of them, well, I would say all of them, all of them before my forever, which with Nick here, all of them didn't work out for whatever various reasons. I would say because either one, I let my discernment was my discernment. It had nothing to do with God. In some instances, I would say I wanted what I wanted, and even though the red flags were there, I said, hey, I can still deal with this. And just moved on through it, and oh boy, I learned my lesson real quick.
Wow.
And some things, like, you don't even realize it's a red flag until, like, the situation is over and you look back, you be like, oh gosh, like, what mind frame was I in to even deal with that? And sometimes, society puts pressure, especially on women. I mean, we catch it.
Yeah.
When it comes to being married, having children, all that good stuff, society places a lot of pressure on females from birth, because we're groomed, to want to be married. You start playing, house and all that stuff when you're little, and being a homemaker and all this other stuff. But I would say, personally, those relationships taught me more about myself than it did about the other person. Now, not to say that the other person wasn't flawed too,
right?
But it was things that I realized that I allowed that I shouldn't have allowed.
Okay, I understand that.
So the same question goes for you.
Okay, so my previous relationships taught me what I wanted and what I didn't want in a forever mate.
Oh, that's a good one.
Because,
same here.
I wasn't in too many relationships, but my mom would tell you, and she's told you before, from jump, I knew that I wanted a wife, and I knew I wanted a family. Yeah. So I wasn't jumping in too many relationships all willy-nilly, but I knew that I wanted this. Now, once I was in those relationships, I was like, okay, I know I don't want this out of a wife. I don't want that out of a wife. I want this, and I want that, and it's trial and error. And one thing that I say with us, we didn't lose. We got lessons.
That's true. We gained knowledge.
Right. And so, I was gaining knowledge on, like, oh, she crazy. You don't want that in your marriage. Or, oh, you need more of this in your marriage because you're lacking that. And so with each relationship that failed, I think it brought me closer to you, and it taught me, like, this is what you need and what you don't need. And so I guess that's my answer. Okay.
That was actually a very good take. I would say things that I did. I may ask you, what did you do to prepare for your mate, which is me?
So,
even though you didn't know me, but just in general, what did you do while you were single?
This last time this last time that I was single, one thing I did, it was two things, right? Mm-hmm. And I talk about this every time I talk about you. One thing, the first thing I did was write 5 things that I wanted out of my wife on a piece of paper or in my notes on my phone. Mm-hmm. Because the Bible always teaches us to write the vision and make it plain.
Right.
And so that's what I did. I wrote the vision for the wife I felt like God has called for me, has chosen for me. And they were non-negotiables. And I had a talk with one of my friends then who was also single. And we both were looking for mates. And, she actually told me, write these 5 non-negotiables down. And, don't sway from it. And so, I shared the list with you after we started dating and we became serious. I was like, you matched every non-negotiable that I needed. And then you added some to the list that I didn't know I needed.
Exactly. And y'all, this is the truth. Like almost a year to the date or 2 years to the date that you wrote that note in your phone. I actually looked at everything that he wrote and like he said, actually, it was me. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not saying it just because it's Nick and we're married, but for real, it was kind of scary to be honest. But that's how you know God was in it.
Yeah, and then I had to take my hands off of me trying to make the perfect mate. I felt like God had already created it, but then I still was like, okay, but I wanted it in this person or I wanted it in that person. And every time I put my hands in the mix, it crumbled every time. So at that point, I was like, okay, God, my hands are off of it. Whoever you send this way, I just want to be ready for when they come. I know my non-negotiables. We prayed on it. And so help me to understand them. And I know that you're going to meet my needs. You're going to give me some of the things that I want as well. So I'm leaving it all up to you. So those are the 2 things that I did. And I was just, when you came into my life, it was like, okay, come on, God. You always gonna come out a winner when you take your hands off of it.
That's true.
And give it to God. So
Lord knows that's true.
I was like, God, you did it again, because everything that I was trying up until now was failing.
I get it. So and great story, by the way. I would say for me, the things that I did to prepare for my mate, I am divorced, so I had to give myself some time just to get myself together, okay? Because I'm just like, I definitely didn't want to carry any emotional baggage, anything that would be detrimental to any future relationships. And to be honest, I knew I wanted to be remarried. I wanted to be married to my forever mate. Not somebody that I chose, but this time the person that God chose for me. Right. So I learned my lesson quick with that one, because Lord knows. I would say for me, I specifically had a talk with God in my prayers and while journaling at the time. Journaling really helped me out a lot. I would say for me, being intentional about the type of people that I wanted to start to date was very instrumental in preparing me. Like you said, I was intentional with the other relationships, but this time I would say my thoughts were a little different.
Okay, so what do you mean by your thoughts were a little different?
Versus then telling God everything that I want, because he already knows and already knew what I wanted at the time. Yes. I asked him, I said, okay, bring the person I need.
That I like that right there, going against what you want for what you need.
It was hard now.
It's hard because like what we have, designed in our head is everything that we've seen in our life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so you might wanted a roughneck. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what you've seen. Like, I want somebody like Tupac.
Or, oh, wow.
Or, I want somebody like Halle Berry. But that ain't who God has designed for you.
Exactly. So again, it was hard, y'all, because the prayer that I prayed and what I wrote in my journal, I was like, okay, God, first off, and this is just me, I didn't want to meet my mate on a dating app. No offense to any or, to anybody who has, because I know some people who've met some great people and their husbands or wives off of a dating app. But I was saying for me personally, I didn't want to go that route, because when I tried to stick my little pinky toe back into the dating pool, I tried a dating app, and when I say I got off that thing so quick, I pulled it back so quick. Oh no. So I said, okay, God, nope, we not gonna go that route. I said, he gonna have to come some other way, because this ain't it.
And it's funny because you say that, but Twitter, or X as we call it now, is not a dating app.
It's not, but that's how I met your big head.
Right. It's a social app. It's an app on the phone that I would have never knew that I would meet my wife off of.
I never expected it either. So, like I said, I guess I was very specific because I clearly said no dating app. So I guess God was like, okay then.
But then again, that's where it came into, my thoughts and process. I was like, I'm going to take my hands off of it, because, you meet millions of people on this app, and you be like, all right, whatever, they just talking.
Right.
But then you find somebody who, out of these millions of people who live in Charlotte, who was at the same events and concerts that you were in, and y'all was in the same space but didn't run into each other. For now, COVID to come, and then you like, okay, well, let me see if this is gonna work out, and we end up married, is a concept that I would have never thought of, but God thought of it. Me
neither. I definitely would have never thought of that scenario happen, but it did. And I thank God for it, and I thank God for you. I would say, to get back on the topic real quick, because I think I kind of veered off a little bit. I was intentional. That's what I mean by I was intentional with my thoughts. And in the prayer that I prayed, I asked God, I gave up my will for his. So I asked God, I said, bring me the person I need according to your will and what you have for me. Not what I want, because what I want obviously hasn't worked out.
Right.
However, everything that I asked God for or wanted in a mate, when it came to my wants, you matched that plus some. I mean, like things that I didn't even voice to God. I thought it, and it's you. Like, you possess all of those traits, the height, every single thing. God did not miss, not one bit.
Shout out to God.
What? Shout out to our Heavenly Father, okay? So I would say that, I gave up my will for God's will. And I'm telling y'all, again, it's not that easy. I gave up my wants and asked God for the person I needed. And it's not the easiest thing to do. But I took myself on dates. I mean, I would go out to eat by myself, because to me, stuff like that don't bother me. I went to the movies by myself. I, did things by myself, went out to eat. I mean, nice dinners. I'll go to a nice restaurant, get dressed up. Like, I dated myself. And I was like, God, it's just me and you. And when I took the focus off of, hey, I need to find somebody. I don't want to be alone. I want to find somebody. I want to be married again. I didn't go that route. And because when I went that route the first time, you see where it got me. It got me in a relationship that God didn't ask for.
Right.
So I would say, be intentional, be willing to give up your will for God's will, and be willing to accept what he has for you versus than what you want. He already knows what you want. So he's going to give you the person that you need. But again, sometimes you have to take your hands off of it. Just like Nick said, take your hands off of it. God's got your back. Trust me. Even though we can't see it, he has your back. So you just have to trust him and have faith that he's not going to let you down, for real.
He ain't going to let you down. He ain't let us down not one time.
He hasn't. And then surround yourself with friends that have a similar mindset.
Right.
You don't want to be around somebody that's going to taint your view and call you crazy. Like, girl, you crazy, because I would never do that. I'm going to just do what I do. Okay, well, you see what that's getting you.
Yeah, that's one thing that, I did surround myself with people who are married, because if I'm trying to get to a place that I've never been, I need to get all the help, the advice that I can get all you can. And then you have to be discerning in that space too, because people can, be married, but their marriages are horrible, and they just spew off why their marriage is horrible, and then it'll have you looking at marriage being bad too.
And I'm glad you brought that up, Nick. Don't let other people's experiences influence what you want and what you desire. Make sure that you keep the blinders on, stay focused on what you want, and ask God for the person that you need.
And voila, you'll get them. I got mine.
Exactly. And trust me, he came when I wasn't even, to be honest, I wasn't looking. I really wasn't.
We both wasn't looking.
We weren't.
We was trusting God and doing our thing.
We were. So, guys, I know we're running out of time here, because we definitely have to do the candid tip of the week. This was a great conversation. If you want a part 2 of this, just let me know. We could actually bring in some other people to share their experiences as well. Hit us up, candidalycrawford@gmail.com, or hit us up on our social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, all that good stuff. Just hit us up. So when we come back, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to do the candid tip of the week. Stay tuned.
We are Candidly Crawford Radio. All about God, marriage, life, and everything in between.
Tune in every Thursday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern as we candidly share our thoughts and experiences on life and relationships, with a few laughs too. Interested in growing your business by advertising on our radio show? Need a dynamic duo or host to speak at your event? Connect with us. Email us at candidlycrawford@gmail.com or at Candidly Crawford on YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram. And we are back. Thank you for tuning in to the Candidly Crawford radio show. I'm your host, Teresa.
And it's your boy, Nick.
And we are Candidly Crawford. All about God, marriage, life, and everything in between. So we just finished talking about what did we do to prepare ourselves for our mate, and we just shared our own personal experience about that. And again, you could catch the rebroadcast of this radio show on the Candidly Crawford YouTube channel at any given time, and also the other previous episodes as well. So here comes the part of our show where we share the candid tip of the week. So the candid tip of the week, for me, one verse that Nick and I agree on that definitely works for this topic we talked about. It comes from the book of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 33, and I'm reading from the NLT version. It says, "Seek the kingdom of God above all else and live righteously, and he will give you everything you need." Now, this does include a mate.
Yeah.
Just a FYI.
It includes mates. It includes jobs.
Finances.
Anything that has to deal with your life.
Exactly. So I would definitely recommend that you start at verse 25 and read through verse 34. But what I just read was Matthew 6, chapter 6, verse 33. So definitely check out verses 25 through 34. It will put it all into perspective for you. So I would say the main takeaways, what would you say your main takeaways would be?
Take your hand off of it. Trust God. And start preparing yourself by, I don't know,
writing your negotiables down. Yeah. Definitely being open-minded, because it may not come in the package that you're used to.
Right.
Don't be friend zoning everybody though.
Yes, please don't friend zone everybody, even though, this is for another day, but I almost got friend zoned by my own wife.
Yeah, he almost did, y'all. We'll share that in another story, but yeah.
Don't be friend zoning everybody.
Almost missed out, y'all. That would have been on me. But no, write down your non-negotiables, such as Nick said earlier. Date yourself. Surround yourself with like-minded people. Give up your will for God's will and have faith that he's not going to steer you wrong. Easier said than done, because we're human. We're not made to live alone. And don't be around people that's going to skew your focus or, your mindset of wanting a mate and wanting to be married. It's okay, y'all. everything ain't always bad out here. I mean, every relationship has its ups and downs, whether you're married or just in a relationship or even friendship. So it's just life, y'all. It's going to be what you make it. So I would just say stay true to what you believe. Just incorporate God, but let his will
trump out yours.
That part. I couldn't get it together. All right, y'all. Again, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you catch us next week at the same time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Love you guys.
All right, and we say this every week.
We are blessed to be a blessing. Good night, guys.
Peace, guys.